The Honourable Speaker of Parliament, the Honourable Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, fellow members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Lisambula Binaka, and a very good morning to you all. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I begin with my speech, as a member of the Ministerial Methodist Church, or formerly called Nepani, I would like to acknowledge the commitment, prayers, and devotion of our parents as we celebrated the 50 years anniversary of our church last Saturday. So much this nation has gone through. If anything, it is the prayers. People for this nation to be united so that our future is charted through peace, progress, and unity.
Thank you very much for our parents, our elders. Taking their time to build our church. When we told our 50th anniversary last Saturday.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to inform this August House of our official visit to New Zealand from 8th to the 15th of October, undertaken at the invitation of the Fijian High Commissioner in Wellington. The visit had three principal objectives. First, to officiate at the Fiji Day Diplomatic Corps reception on the 9th of October and the Fiji Day celebration on 11th October, both hosted by the Fiji High Commission. Second, to hold bilateral engagements with my New Zealand counterpart, Honourable Paul Goldsmith, and senior officials from the New Zealand Ministry of Justice and Parole Board, with a view to strengthen cooperation in the law and justice sector. And third, to meet members of the Fijian diaspora in Wellington, Auckland, through Talanoa sessions, listening to their concerns and updating them on government initiatives. It was an honor to deliver opening remarks at the Fiji Day Diplomatic Corps reception on the 9th and Fiji Day celebration on the 11th. Hosting the Pacific and heads of diplomatic corps based in Wellington necessitated our presence as part of the coalition government. Our presence as political leaders reaffirmed our role in the MSG, PIFs, and the wider bilateral multilateral agreements. The event showcased our national identity, unity, and resilience, and reminded us of the strength of our people abroad. On the 9th of October, I met with Honourable Goldsmith for discussions centered on the Law and Justice Reform Roadmap 2025 to 2030, endorsed by Cabinet and owned collectively by our justice sector institutions. Fiji is confident that the New Zealand Pacific justice sector support will complement our reform agenda, particularly in digital case management, corrections, child justice, legislative drafting, and the expansion of legal aid services. I also visited the New Zealand Parole Board with the representative of the Fiji Correction Service. Mr. Speaker, sir, this House approved the reactivation of the Parole Board through the national budget. The government's allocation of $112,500 reflects a commitment to rebuilding a system that is culturally responsive and effective. As I was reminded during our engagement, justice is not a place we arrive at. It is a journey we must walk with wisdom and humility. The experience of New Zealand, particularly with Indigenous and Pacific communities, provide us with the invaluable guidance that will tailor our own model for Fiji. The exchange allowed us to study the New Zealand Parole Act of 2002 and the systems that support parole operations in New Zealand. The lessons learned will guide Fiji as we reactivate our own parole board. New Zealand has also reaffirmed its readiness to provide ongoing technical support. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also held meetings with the New Zealand Ministry of Justice and senior ministry officials, as well as with Professor John Frenham of Victoria University, Wellington, all of whom have had considerable experience in referendum administration. This was timely following the Supreme Court advisory opinion on the 29th of August this year. We discussed legal frameworks clarity of referendum questions, drafting of referendum framework, voter education, timing, cost implications, inclusivity, and implementation of results. New Zealand's decades of experience will greatly assist Fiji as we prepare for this important constitutional process. And if I may say so, Mr. Speaker, sir, that will be tabling the referendum bill to this House soon. Mr. Speaker, sir, the town session was held with diaspora from 18 to 14 of October. Something I came to my surprise that there are some categories of Fijian diaspora. The most recent is the Fiji Corrections, about 80 families in Wellington. Some are also employed in Wanganui and others in Auckland. There's an increasing number of people being employed, the corrections, and I am advised that future recruitments will be rely on applicants from Fiji. There's another group, Mr. Speaker, sir, that's hardly been discussed. These are construction workers. I was amazed when I was advised that one of them owns a 5-bedroom house and pays a rent of $800 a week. And if we look at the wages of construction workers in Fiji, this is a far cry. So they've made themselves better, Mr. Speaker, and they continue to increase this number. Another is a category for employed in the forestry. Another is drivers, and of course, we have our farm workers. This is the larger diaspora that are in New Zealand and continue to send remittance that is beneficial to this nation. The meeting with Fijian diaspora started on Wednesday evening, an hour after arrival. There were town sessions each evening, including a combined church service on Sunday. As we interacted with the Fijian diaspora in Wellington, Auckland, and surrounding towns, it became evidently clear that social media had distorted the many achievements of the coalition government. Media freedom, budget by the people and for the people, developments in rural infrastructure, the independence of the three arms of government, the policy decisions targeting the needs of our people here at home and abroad. We listened to the first-hand account of non-participation of thousands of our people due to the late arrival of ballot papers in the last election, Mr. Speaker. I can assure this House this problem will be resolved in the upcoming election. Of the late passport applications and processing, among others, I reaffirm that we will work collaboratively and within the law with other agencies to ensure that these needs are addressed. A matter that required clarification was the 2021 amendment requiring married women to change their names of birth certificates to vote. I reaffirm that this law was repealed in 2023 through Act 18 and 19, restoring the rights of women to use their maiden names consistent with the High Court's ruling in Nganilau and Attorney General. At the conclusion of the visit, it was proposed that a multi-agency government delegation return to New Zealand to deliver direct services to our diaspora. These would include a representative from the Birth, Death, Marriages Registry, Ministry of Employment, FNPF, Fiji Election Office, and Legal Aid. Travel expenses for the delegations were borne by their respective ministries. The cost of attending the two Fiji Day event was $8,186.92. And the cost of engagement related to bilateral cooperation in this sector was $3,596.92, totaling $11,783.84. Mr. Speaker, the visit was more than just celebrating Fiji Day. It was a strategic engagement with key regional partners, enabling us to advance justice reforms, deepen bilateral cooperation, and strengthen service delivery to Fijians living overseas. As one Pacific leader had said, we must not wait for the tide to carry us. We must learn to steer the waka ourselves. Invitations for Fiji Day and similar events simply open the door. It is our duty to walk through that door and seize every opportunity available for our people. I acknowledge the dedications of staff at the Fiji High Commission in Wellington, our partner agencies, and the hundreds of members of our diaspora who engaged with us during this visit. To all our people, I reaffirm that your coalition government takes care for you. Whether engagement takes us to New Zealand, Australia, Japan or Solomon Islands, we will continue to use every invitation, every platform, and every partnership to secure knowledge and opportunities that strengthens Fiji's justice system and improve services for our people. Mr. Speaker, sir, the official visit strengthened Fiji's bilateral partnership with New Zealand, reinforced our justice reform priorities, and reaffirmed a commitment to serving Fijians wherever they reside. Pinagwali, sir.